Knowing how to optimize your Google ads is essential. It's all well and good knowing how to set up campaigns and press the right button to get them up and running. But if you don't know how to improve their performance and scale them, then it's just going to cost you money. In 2023, I generated $50 million for my clients with Google and YouTube ads. And I attribute a lot of that success to knowing how to optimize campaigns. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly step by step everything we do on a daily, on a weekly, and on a monthly basis to optimize our Google and YouTube ad campaigns and get them performing better with a higher ROAS and with lower CPAs. Okay, so super excited to jump in. My name is George. I run a paid search agency for e-commerce brands called ClickSpring Advertising. We are spending over $500,000 per month on Google ads right now. And let's jump into it. For those of you who are potentially interested in working with us, there'll be a link in the description to book a quick 15-minute chat with me to basically see if we're a good fit. But if you're not interested, no worries, because I'm going to be giving all the Google and YouTube ads value for free on this channel away. So go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss out. So let's dive in and start with the daily optimizations and the daily audit that we conduct for all of our clients, as well as the Google ads that we're running for our own agency. So to conduct a daily audit that improves the client's overall performance, that is the goal of a daily audit, right? And we want to make sure we're moving our clients closer to their ROAS and CPA targets every week. And, we're improving our own ROAS and CPA, of course. And the idea of the daily audit is not to make major changes. If you're making major optimizations on a daily basis, you're not going to get very good results. The reason why is because Google has a time period between when you make a change and the results of seeing that change. It's kind of called often a learning period, but you essentially need to kind of leave some time for cause and effect to happen. And if you're making too many changes on a daily basis, then that's not going to be good. So we're making very minor tweaks, mostly just observing where the account is heading and reporting back. Okay, so the first thing, as the name suggested there, is really just to observe performance. So identify underperforming campaigns. Assess what changes need to be made based on which KPIs are lacking, so which metrics aren't performing well. Writing down these comments, making sure that we're recording our thoughts on a daily basis. It's really important whenever you go in and audit an account, you're writing your thoughts down, okay? You're kind of putting pen to paper and understanding basically what you're seeing, right? And keeping a log of it. And so essentially this is an example, right? We're switching on the compare feature in the top right. So when you select the date range in Google Ads, you can also select a comparison date range. So we'll look at the previous period here. This is the last 7 days for this client. You can see we've increased spend for most of these campaigns by 60%, 100%. Some campaigns have dropped in spend. A lot of these campaigns are increasing in spend here as well. You can see ROAS is decreasing slightly on some of these campaigns up here. It's increasing here. And so it's really important to see what's going on inside the account. Now, this account is actually going through a pretty strong seasonal period. So we're seeing big increases in spend and big, drops and increases in ROAS, but it's important to get a lie of the land. Okay. So even if you don't take immediate action from this, it's super important to understand these metrics and this information, okay? And also using third-party platforms as well, okay? So using third-party platforms like Triple Whale, for example, which you can see here. So Triple Whale is kind of a third-party attribution tool, all right? So it's going to essentially tell you a more accurate picture of the metrics that you're seeing, so the ROAS, the conversion value, etc. So we're going to look at what Google Ads are saying, we're going to look at what Triple Whale is saying, and we're going to make a decision based on that, all right? It's going to allow you to make way, way higher quality decisions, so I really recommend it. Next thing we're going to jump in and look at is search terms. Now, search terms really is something that you can do every day. Okay, so adding, negative keywords and then things like that, basically reviewing the search terms that are coming in and negativing, if that's a word, out the ones that aren't performing well or are relevant, okay? So that's exactly what we're doing here. So you can see this is the search term screen. We're going to filter by conversions and we're going to look at the cost per conversion here. We're going to look at the conversion value per cost. There's one right at the bottom here that isn't doing too well, spent $7 in the last 7 days. We'd go ahead and exclude that one maybe if we deemed it necessary, okay? Next is reviewing keywords. So you've got search terms and then you've got keywords. Now, keywords are what cause the search terms, right? If you're not bidding on keywords, you're not going to get any search terms. That's how Google Ads works. So we were going to want to actually evaluate the performance of the keywords that we're using here. So we're going to look at the CPCs. Sometimes what you can see on a month basis is CPCs rising, so cost per clicks. And if keywords are getting more and more expensive, then it's going to make less and less sense to bid for them. And your costs are going to keep rising. So always be vigilant and just observe the performance of keywords. And then finally, reviewing PMax Insights. So the Insights tab on PMax contains a wealth of data. You can see so much much here, and pretty much we look at this on a daily basis. There's so much information coming in here. You can look at obviously the ROAS, and this is really interesting because this screen here is actually going to be slightly more accurate than the overview screen that you might see in your Google Ads dashboard, because this is going to take into account attribution. Okay, so when you look at the last 7 days, so here Jan 9th to the 15th, 2024, not all of the sales have been credited back to this campaign yet. So what you're actually going to see here is the actual ROAS of this campaign is lower than the ROAS that's stated in the Insights tab, because basically Google's kind of making up for this attribution lag. Okay, so yeah, it's really cool to get a full picture looking here, but you can also see the search terms and the search categories, they call them there here, that are generating revenue for the campaign, and also audiences as well. And you can see the index metric here is actually how likely that audience is to take action on your campaign. And what you can do is, if an audience is consistently performing well, then you can actually add it into your existing audience signal and future audience signals as well when you make those Performance Max campaigns. If you don't know what any of that means, don't worry. Performance Max is kind of Google's main campaign type really at the moment. And when we say audience signal, we just mean the audience that you're kind of targeting with that campaign, okay? Cool. So now let's jump into the weekly audit. Okay, so this is, we're making bigger changes here and we're looking at bigger picture stuff, and we are actually getting our hands dirty now. Okay, so first things first, we're going to look at budgets. We're going to look at targets. Okay, so we want to be consistently increasing budgets on a week-on-week basis. So we are scaling the account. Wouldn't really recommend increasing budgets on a more frequent basis than every week, unless you have a good reason to, like you're in a sale period or something. So yeah, we increase budgets once per week by 10 to 20%. And then we're also going to look at target ROAS and target CPAs that we've set. Okay, so, can we increase them? Do they need to be decreased? Whatever it is, we want to make sure that we are optimizing that, tweaking that. Okay, and then sometimes we're even decreasing budgets of campaigns. Some campaigns will be underperforming, and so it's actually better to decrease the campaign's budget, and that way ROAS will typically improve. You're kind of punishing Google there, okay? And what you can see here is the screen for a target-based bid strategy. So this is target ROAS. You can see the actual ROAS for the campaign, the actual ROAS for the campaign is at 189%, but the target ROAS we have set here is 170. So it would look like we can increase the TROAS here and actually push the campaign to perform a little bit better. Next, we're going to review search ads and assets. So we want to be consistently split testing, improving ad copy, okay? Looking at metrics like CTR, which you can see here. So this ad has a 30% CTR, which is pretty good. Consistently improving that and always testing, right? That is the motto of anyone in paid ads. And we're going to look at landing page reports here as well. Okay, so this is a little tab that you'll be able to access. You won't be able to access it directly for PMax campaigns, but what you can do is go to all campaigns, landing pages, and then actually filter for specific PMax campaigns. And you can see that here. And this is so important, guys. I've made so much money for our clients by simply just excluding specific landing pages from Performance Max. So you can see here, this landing page is performing well, getting the most of the spend, but you can see here, $295 for 0.8, $139 for 0.15. There's a bunch of landing pages here that aren't performing, so we need to go ahead and exclude them. We need to find out why the traffic is being sent there, and we need to exclude them, okay? Then we're going to look at assets, okay, inside of PMax. So you've obviously looked at assets inside of search campaigns. Now we want to do the same for PMax. PMax is a little bit less customizable. You're just going to see basically a basic performance score of best or good. So long as it's good or best, that's good. Or sorry, that's great. I'll use a different word. But if it's low or if it's poor, I think it says, then you want to make sure you switch that out, okay? And then finally, we want to look at the products in our shopping or PMax campaigns, right? So maybe weekly is a bit too much these days, but if you have a lot of SKUs, so for this client, we wouldn't do it weekly, but for some clients, we do this weekly. When you have a high amount of SKUs, a high amount of products, you actually want to be, if some of them aren't performing, actually excluding them from those campaigns if they're taking up all the spend and potentially targeting them with different campaigns, right? And our general rule is if there's 100 clicks and no conversions, then we're going to exclude it, right? That is the general rule. And we can also see, if we use that comparison feature that I talked about earlier, we can see whether products are getting better, declining, all right, by looking at metrics like CTR and ROAS. It's very important. All right, now let's jump into the monthly audit finally here. Okay, so the goal is to really make some big needle moving decisions and changes that we only want to be doing once a month. They're that big, okay, because they're going to probably take another month to actually come to fruition and to see the outputs of that change. So the first thing is conversion actions. This is an observation. This isn't necessarily a change, okay? We want to be checking conversion actions on a monthly basis, make sure they're all fully operational. Can't tell you how many brand owners and agencies mess up on this. they will have conversion actions that are not properly configured, enhanced conversions is going wrong, something is just not right there. So make sure you're checking them, all right? Sometimes you'll be double counting by accident. This is CSS, is comparison shopping service. So this is more to do with product feed than conversion actions, but I'll touch on this in a second when we talk about product feed, okay? So next is account structure, all right? So can we expand the account structure, or do we need to simplify it? So we have 3 main account structures here that we like to follow. I'll just zoom in a bit here. Okay, so we've got a kind of low budget performance max structure where we have one PMAX campaign, one shopping campaign, which is more of a catch-all to reinforce PMAX and to generate search terms, which we can use to improve our product feeds. And then we also have brand search as well. So it's a 3 campaign structure, very simple. I made a video on this structure a couple of days ago on my channel. It's incredibly effective if you have a low budget and you don't want to have all the bells and whistles, right? If you've got a bit of a higher budget, sort of talking plus $300 a day, then we want to include some YouTube, okay? So we want to have some YouTube shorts for top of funnel, such an effective campaign type, okay? You're going to be generating a bunch of impressions, which is then going to filter down into your middle of funnel campaigns like PMAX and shopping and search. And you're going to also get a bunch of direct conversions from it as well. It's kind of like a separate thing. It's its own thing. It's similar to TikTok and Meta. Video ads, very effective. Okay. And you can actually recycle the creative you're using on Meta and TikTok in these shorts campaigns. All right. Then we've got YouTube remarketing, very effective as well. PMAX does remarketing itself. That's why we don't have it here. But when you do have a bit more money to play with, then a dedicated remarketing campaign makes a lot of sense. We like YouTube for this because it's very visual. We're, potentially using the same creatives that we're using for top of funnel. And it's also got product feeds in directly. So viewers can literally click the product that they want to go to and they'll go to it. All right. And also branded search, of course. And then finally, we have more of a nuanced structure. Okay. So this is what we call a SPAC structure, single product ad campaign. Okay. And this is for really when Performance Max isn't performing well, or we want to focus on cold and we want to have a high degree of control. So we won't use Performance Max. We'll just use highly segmented shopping campaigns with one product in each. This is going to allow us to set custom target ROAS. It's going to allow us to set custom budgets. It's going to allow us to have a huge degree of control here and also completely exclude branded terms so that we're not bidding on brand at all, apart from in the campaigns that we want to be. Okay, so this gives you a lot of control. It does require a ton more work, I'll be honest. PMAX is a very automated campaign, shopping is not. So you're going to always have to be in there excluding search terms, making product feed optimizations, all this kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah, it depends what you want. Then we're going to talk about now bid strategies, okay? So this is something we'll review on a monthly basis. Sometimes it's important to just change your bid strategy, okay? So if we, sometimes we're on max conversions or max conversion value, we want to change. Sometimes we want to add a target, okay? So for example, if you are seeing in the last 30 days that, you've got a good ROAS on a maximized bid strategy, you might want to add a target ROAS. We'd probably set it slightly below that average ROAS over the last 30 days to give the campaign a bit of wiggle room. But yeah, that's very important as well, okay? Then we're going to touch on audience signals as well. So as I mentioned before, when we look at PMAX here, could we add any audiences into audience signals, or can we deleverage them and take some out? And now we're going to touch on product feed. So this is a huge one, right? And to be honest, again, there's a bit of flexibility here. For some clients, we'd be doing this on a weekly basis because they have a high traffic volume and they have a high amount of SKUs. But for most, we'll be doing it on a monthly basis. We want to optimize product titles. We want to optimize product images. If you don't know, your product feed is how shopping ads serve, okay? So it's how Google basically transmits data from GMC to Google Ads about your product. So your images, your title, your description, your attributes, the weight of the product, the color of the product, the gender of the product, whatever it is. Or who the product is intended for gender-wise. So it's important. And, the higher the quality of the product feed, the better performance you're going to get. And shopping and Performance Max ads on the shopping network actually serve based on the keywords in your product title. So it's really important to max out your product title here, which is what we're doing here. For example, you can see this is actually an image from the guys at PPC Mastery. Shout out to Miles, who we're going to have on the channel very soon. You can see this is the kind of structure, all right? So in your product title, you're going to say your brand. Let's say for your fashion item, a brand, the gender it's for, the product. So is it a top, a dress, whatever, and some of the attributes. So is it black, blue, brown, whatever. And then also potentially adding at the end on some extra converting search terms that you've seen in your search term review, okay? And finally, making bid adjustments. So this is something we only want to do on a monthly basis, really. It's a bit of a longer wait time to see the kind of output from this, but it's so effective, okay? So you can come in, you can make bid adjustments based on audience segments, which is what you're seeing here, demographics, devices, locations, even ad schedule we found, which is a really effective one. If there are specific days or even hours that your ads perform well, you can actually tell Google and make these adjustments like, hey, I want to bid 50% more in this period. It's so effective, okay? It's a high leverage activity and I really suggest you do it. Not a lot of agencies and brands do it at all. Okay, so thank you very much for sticking with me for that. If you did enjoy this video, please subscribe, like, and comment below. Let me know what you thought. And just there will be below a link to go ahead and book a call with myself, as I did say earlier. It is going to be, me pitching you basically on us managing your Google and YouTube ads and helping you scale if you are an e-commerce brand owner. We're very, very good at it, if I do say so myself. So please, if you are a brand owner interested in scaling your monthly revenue, go ahead, click that link below, and we can help you do that. All right. Follow me on Twitter at George Clements, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.